What's up, guys? So it's been about 3 days since my last video related to gut health. Oh man, those words, gut health. Ugh. Anyway, I got kind of sick, right? So I also lost a friend in a way. A relationship I had with someone broke down, and it was kind of like a sensual, kind of monetary, fantastical attachment, and it got broken down because weeks and weeks of disrespect towards me. By the grace of God, I was able to understand what was happening and not accept it anymore. But the point is, during that transition, I started getting intestinal sloughing, right? So, in the medical community, they would call it what's it called? A relapse? Not a relapse. Fire up, something like that. I forget the name. A flare up. That's it. It would be a flare up. So, all the symptoms, vomiting, diarrhea, cramping, bloating, all that. Fatigue, the high activity in the perineal fistula, lots of mucus, infection. All of that came about. It lasted about 48 hours. And at some point, or at one point, I was going to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, and before I flushed, I had a look, and there was this kind of big red log, like a rod. It kind of looked like a bone that's covered in that kind of really thin, fleshy layer. It looked like that. And I was like, that's curious. And so, but I understand that it's a process that when you've adapted to something, when you've been building your body up, right? Particularly when you've been building it up in falsehood, and then that falsehood gets crushed by the truth. For instance, if you're tolerating a disrespect, and then suddenly you say, I won't tolerate this disrespect anymore, something like that. But translatable into gut terms is, I can't digest this, I can't believe that this is happening, I'm being treated this way. And so your body is like, well, I'm going to build you up so that you can digest it. And then the minute that you're like, wait, I can digest this, then your body will break it down because it no longer needs to adapt to that higher digestion, because it's no longer living in this world where you are having difficulty digest this thing. So then, in order to take apart, as long as your body is working properly, has its vitamins, its nutrients and stuff, in order to take apart what it's built up, it will rapidly recruit bacteria, fungus, and it will break down literally the digestive tissue, the intestinal walls that it built up over this time, as you phase into reality better. And so this happened over a period of like 48 hours, and I did the things, usually what you try and do is you try and fast, you try to give your gut a rest. But no, I kept eating, not forcibly. I gave it a little bit of a rest, because there was so much inflammation from this breakdown that the tubes were getting stuck, and gas couldn't pass through or anything like that. So I gave it the sufficient rest it needed, but I kept protein up, kept the sugars up as much as I could, and got through it. I got no cramps today, got no issues today. But for a good 48 hours, it was pretty rough. But yeah, this intestinal sloughing, first time I ever heard of it, because I was, checking it out on AI, seeing what AI thought about it, because nobody in my circles had anything to say about it. And so intestinal sloughing happens through periods of intense infection, or they relate it to IBS or intense stress. And, big chunks, just like if you get sunburn and big flakes of your skin come off, big chunks of your intestine will flake off. And then, particularly if your gut is inflamed and the tubes are narrow, it will take the shape, it'll be reddish, bloody, and it'll take the shape of the intestine, and it'll come out. kind of mucosal epithelial cell fibrin clump. And so that happened, that came out. And if you're from an ignorant perspective, you'd see that and be like, oh, my health is bad. Oh, getting a relapse or getting a fire up. And the problem is that kind of thinking can create another fantasy, right? And then if you believe in that fantasy, then your body will start to build up again. And then the minute you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm fine. Because when you're building up, you don't actually have any of these healing symptoms. And so when you think, oh, actually, I'm fine, I don't have this illness, then bam, it's going to hit you again because your body's now going to break it down again, this fantasy notion that you've built up, because particularly if it's combined with, oh, I can't believe I'm ill, or, oh, I can't digest that I've let myself get this way by, having seed oils or whatever the hell kind of tracks that you can build up. So there it was. Another thing to rejoice in, being separated from this flesh is beneficial to me because it's also indicative of overcoming a territorial conflict and a movement and a bondage in the spiritual realm, which has been cut. And that expresses itself from the spiritual realm into the soul, into the mind, and then the mind affects the body. The mind tells the body, we get this now, we can digest this now. The body breaks down the things it made in fantasy, which are no longer needed, which aren't in truth. And you become transformed. This is the transformative nature of Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ is the truth. He will come into your life and transform you. And this is how you allow it to transform you. You don't let yourself get washed away in fantastical notions of whatever the hell these illnesses that we get.